what's up, everybody? Gonna do a different kind of reaction, man. This is kind of like a compilation video reaction, I guess I can call it. What it is, it's featuring Led Zeppelin and their upcoming documentary, or rockumentary as a lot of people like to use the term, Becoming Led Zeppelin. I've heard about it. I've heard a number of people mention it to me in the comment section, so I'm aware of it. I don't know when it's debuting or whatnot, but there's a little bit of buzz growing, so I've heard about it. So I first want to give a shout out and a thanks to Harry Rogers. Harry, thanks very much for keeping me in the loop, all things Zeppelin. Harry is one of those guys that not only keeps you current with mainstream Led Zeppelin stuff, but stuff that's a little bit outside of the norm. I'll get into that in detail after. But Harry's got a note. He says, "Hi Wayne, I've assembled a few clips. It's about the upcoming rockumentary Becoming Led Zeppelin. I'm very excited. This is just to keep you and your viewers informed on the world of Zepp. Only the real Zepp fans will find this interesting. I love when you put trolls in their place, by the way. Laugh out loud." What he's referring to is Led Zeppelin reactions from me gets the most views. And whenever I want to address a certain group of people, it's the best way to do it. It's the best. Some people don't like it, but it's the best platform to use when you're trying to address certain people, especially trolls, right? And there's two types of fans I've found. There's what I call the real Led Zeppelin fans, and they will find stuff like this interesting, even though it's more in the drier terms of documentaries, maybe interviews and things of the like. It's still very, very interesting to the real Led Zeppelin fans. The fly-by-night, only want to be entertained Led Zeppelin fans, they're going to last maybe 5-10 minutes and they're going to fall off. But the real Led Zeppelin fans will still be there. That's what Harry's talking about. As well, check out this comparison video, the Stones versus Led Zeppelin. Which do you think is better? It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts. Thanks in advance. Harry Rogers. Yeah, man. This dude, Harry Rogers, he insists for some reason in making me walk the fine line where it comes to certain things. I always say that I don't want to get too political on my platforms and stuff like that. This is the guy responsible for sending me shit like this. The worst of Led Zeppelin. Now, you know how charged up that topic would be, right? Showcasing them at their worst. The Pete Townsend quote about him not liking anything that they've ever done. Harry Rogers was behind that. This dude was also behind the curse of Led Zeppelin when he sent me that 40-minute presentation about how Led Zeppelin is possibly cursed, and now he is throwing more flames on the fire with the Stones versus Led Zeppelin. Harry, I don't know. He seems to like what comes out of my mind and how I think and whatnot, but it puts me in a very, very dangerous position. And I'm telling you, man, if any of my videos ever go viral, it's never going to be a good thing, because it will be in response to something that I said. I might have put my foot in my mouth or something like that. So pray for me that my videos never go viral, because you know that I'm in the shit. And I bet you that it would be Harry leading the charge, always setting me up, dog. I wonder if you're for me or against me. Anyway, enough of that shit, man. But you know what though? On a serious note, this is what I'll do. I don't think that it belongs in the lineup of covering this rockumentary. So let's split it up. Let's make two videos. Let's go the Led Zeppelin stuff about the upcoming rockumentary, and just separate it from the Stones versus Zeppelin. I don't think that they're very cohesive, Harry. So let's split it in two. Let's make two videos. So right after I do the rockumentary stuff, then I'll immediately go into the Stones versus Zeppelin, but I'm going to split them into two videos. I don't think that they should be all together one and the same. That's how we'll do it. All right, with all of that said, man, let's hit this up. So this is about clips about the upcoming Led Zeppelin documentary, Rocumentary, Becoming Led Zeppelin. Let's get it. Cheers, baby.
Hey everybody, this is TJR, and have some exciting news for all you Led Zeppelin fans out there. And hey, who isn't one, right? The documentary, Becoming Led Zeppelin, is now complete. And I'm going to read from a story here from Louder Online. More than 2 years after it was first announced, the first officially authorized and endorsed full-length Led Zeppelin documentary has been completed, featuring unprecedented access to the band, including new interviews with Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, and John Paul Jones. The first and only time the trio have participated in a documentary in 50 years, Becoming Led Zeppelin covers the band's only years through to the moment in 1970, when Led Zeppelin II displaced the Beatles' Abbey Road from the peak of the Billboard album charts in America. The documentary was directed by Londoner Bernard McMahon, best known for his 2017 documentary series, American Epic, and will feature never-before-seen archive film and photographs, state-of-the-art audio transfers of Zeppelin's music and the music of other artists who shaped their sound. When the project was unveiled in 2019, Jimmy Page said, "When I saw everything Bernard had done, both visually and sonically, on the remarkable achievement that is American Epic, I knew he would be qualified to tell our story." John Paul Jones added, "The time was right for us to tell our own story for the first time in our own words, and I think this film will really bring this story to life." So first of all, I'm real excited for this. I'm really glad this is a documentary and not a biopic. Not that I hate biopics, I always enjoy watching them, but they are entertainment first, always. I'm also really glad that this is a documentary that focuses on a specific area of the band's career, their early beginnings leading up to 1970. A band like Led Zeppelin and like the Beatles, you know, their stories are so big that not even a single documentary, much less a biopic, could contain their story. So I'm really glad that this is just a documentary focusing on this one portion of the band's career. And this leaves the door open for other documentaries that would feature a focus on the, you know, during their peak period, their eventual breakup after the death of John Bonham, and even their legacy afterwards. So now this is the part in the video where I say, well, what are your thoughts? Are you excited? I can't see, if you're a Led Zeppelin fan, how you could not be excited for this. You know, Led Zeppelin may have approved of this movie, but I kind of doubt that Robert Plant approved of this particular picture. At any rate, though, that's all I wanted to share. I'm excited about this documentary. I hope you are too. And as always, if you like what I'm doing, be sure to click like, click subscribe, smash that bell notification icon so you can know when I release new videos. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank my patron supporters who are helping me to make more videos. If you'd like to be a patron supporter, please go to patreon.com/TJR, the original. And I want to thank everybody who shares these videos on their social media. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.
Right on, brother. TJR, the original. I'll come shout at you for sure. Right on. Might even support you on Patreon, man. Really good presenter. No fluff, no dramatic nonsense. He doesn't have to stand on his head. Just gives you the straight goods. The star of the show is not the man, it's the subject matter being the band. Good stuff. I like good presenters like that, man. Right on. So, Harry, I can understand why you're excited, and the way that this gentleman TJ broke it down, I can definitely see for a number of Led Zeppelin fans, especially a lot of you old cats who've been around from the very get, seeing Led Zeppelin evolve, and now here they are in their golden era, you must be really, really excited because you've taken that entire walk with them from the beginning. So congratulations to all of you old cats who've been around, since the get with Led Zeppelin. Good for you. I'm just as excited for you as I am for all the other Led Zeppelin fans and all of us who kind of attached ourselves later on. But, I use that term all the time, the real Led Zeppelin fan. But I would say the original Led Zeppelin fans, the ones who were there from the very get, this must be a really great moment for you as well. And Harry, I don't know how old you are, man. I've never thought, I know that you're in South Cal, but I don't know anything else about you. So I'm assuming that you might be one of these old cats. Let me know how old you are, brother. And if you are one of these old cats, Harry, congratulations as well. And I can understand why you're so excited about this. I'm excited about this shit, man. So let's move forward and. Okay. Yeah, Harry's got a lot of clips here. Harry, I don't know if I can do all of these clips, man. So I'll just, okay. So what I'll do is I'll take out the clip of the Stones versus Zeppelin. I was confusing myself here. I hadn't taken it out of the lineup. So let's do that. All right, so let's continue with this. And I believe that they're going into the official Venice teaser trailer and the interview. Let's get it. Get a pass on YouTube. No matter how I try, find my way to the same old. If not, I'll take it out. Good times, bad times, you know I have my share. When my woman left home, run down that man, but I still don't seem to care. Nice. Very nice. Okay, so this is
Angela Cherby, Fred Film Radio. Hyper thrilled to have be here with Jimmy Page. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm so excited because you know that the first 45 I bought in 1971 was a Led Zeppelin 45 when I was a very little kid. So having you here is really special to me. And I want to ask you how is it to relive your life as in this film becoming Led Zeppelin? Did you manage to remember everything, or did you have to dig in?
I can remember so much in so much detail as well. I guess it's because it was something that I was really passionate about, and something that I formed the band, put the band together. Not only writing the music for it, I was also producing it. So I was really super hands-on all the way through those years that there was a Led Zeppelin, because of two things really, three things. One thing is the albums were coming out. The second thing is that then we would be doing these stage shows that were full of improvisation. Yeah. There were things, because we weren't recording our shows every night, but there were riffs and various ideas that would come out on one night. Say you're doing 3 nights in Chicago, one night there'd be all these sort of riffs coming out, another night Robert would be singing more in various areas, and there would just be, you had the freedom and it's the freedom but the confidence within that band of having 4 musicians that were that creative, that you could just go out and continue this whole thing. It didn't stop. So if you went on stage, the whole part of going on stage was you didn't really know exactly what was going to happen in between going on and coming off. Because not a shambles, this is just really living on the edge and creating music all the time. So then, coming off of those tours, when I was at home, then I was writing music for the next one. So I didn't stop.
The peculiar thing that comes out from the film is that you were a band that was just there for the music. You were still four passionate musicians. They wanted to play together, and they knew that together were able to create something special that was not existing yet.
Well, I think you're almost there. What it is about it is that I was looking for a band with four. I didn't want to have a band with just the guitarist and the other guys are bit players. There was a lot of bands like that. I wanted each and every musician in it to be equally as strong. Mm-hmm. So then when they came together, they would feel the contribution by the others and up their game. Everybody is then upping their game. I believe that the first album, that the musicians, Robert Plant, John Bonham, well, certainly John Bonham, but Robert Plant, myself, and John Paul Jones had never played at that level of intensity as to their quality of how good they could play. But it all joins together into something really special.
Which was...
And that never stops.
I know.
Yeah.
You never stop. Well, thank you very much. Thanks a lot to Mr. Jimmy Page for having been with us. Short? Yes, a very short but very intense.
Long answer. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Perfect. Thank you for having been with us. I'm Angela Cherby for Fred, the Festival Insider. Fred Film Radio, I'm Angela.
Hi, Stephen Shaver here for the Boston Herald. I'd like to ask Jimmy Page, when you said there were all of these miserable attempts approaching you before, can you talk about the independence that you've had with Led Zeppelin? It's noted that when you went, the album was done by you. You produced it. You could call the shots with the record companies. You never had to be sort of bargaining. And in terms of the legacy of Led Zeppelin, can you talk about what you've been most concerned with and how you see Led Zeppelin's place in music history today? Thank you.
Right. Okay. No. Okay. So the very first part of this was that I was in a band called the Yardbirds that was really known on the underground scene and the underground venues in America. By this time, there had been 5 members of the Yardbirds, and Jeff Beck and I had been in the band as the 2 guitarists, but then Jeff went on to do a solo career, and so that left me with putting my ideas into the band. Basically, then that band split up. However, during the sort of, the Boston Tea Party was one of the gigs that we used to do, and the Image Club in Miami. Let's see, there's many. I'm not going to try and list them all because you've got other questions you want to ask. But basically, when the band folded, the 4-member band folded, I had a choice of what to do next, and the thing that I wanted to do next was form a group. I knew exactly what was going on with underground radio in America, that they played stereo records, and they were starting to play full sides of records as opposed to just 3-minute singles. It was 2 different markets altogether. So there was an underground radio, there was underground concerts, but in England nobody knew what we were doing, but we were really quite a cult band. So here comes the second part of the story then, is are you going to go to a record company and say, well, I was in a band called the Yardbirds, it's now split. Were you on any of the hit records? No, I wasn't on any of the hit records, but we've got a really big following in America. It's a guitar-based band. The best way to do that was not sort of say, can we have an advance to make an album? The way to do it was to actually make the album and then present it. So as far as Led Zeppelin today, I think the whole of the work of Led Zeppelin is an incredible textbook for musicians. That's what I do believe, and I'm really happy that it is so. And so I'm a self-taught musician as well. It's not something that I learnt in an academy. And I would like to encourage all musicians, whether they do go to academy, classically trained or whatever, or self-taught, because to play an instrument is such a wonderful thing, to have a connection with an instrument.
Yes.
Thank you.
Question. And that was one of the things that tempted us to do the film, was the fact that this is a life lesson in the way they work, and that anybody, so long as you work hard at your craft and persevere, your dreams can come true. And we do like to have a higher purpose in the films that we make, and we felt that this was a very inspirational story for young people, young men and women and children all over the world, that they can work hard at whatever they want to accomplish and their dreams will come true.
Hi, my name is Louis-Philippe Ouimet. I'm from Radio-Canada in Montreal, Quebec. I have spent hours practicing your lick, Mr. Page, so it's an honor. I know the Led Zeppelin story by heart, the lick by heart, but what do we really learn in this new documentary?
Have you had a chance to see the documentary yet?
Tonight.
Well, everything will be answered. I promise you, because somebody who's really understood what these riffs are about and how this music gels together, you're just going to have a wonderful time. I think that's the easiest way to describe it, because you already understand quite a lot of what it is, and now you're going to see what it was. Thank you.
Hi, this is Matic Majcem from RTV Slovenia.
Nice.
A question for Mr.
Good
Page.
answer.
In the film, we hear a couple of very interesting anecdotes about how you try to bypass the logic of the music industry that pushed you to release singles when you always considered that Led Zeppelin were an albums band. Since then, obviously, the industry has changed a lot, and with online streaming, there is possibly even a greater push to release hit singles. So I'd like to hear your opinion about the issue. Are you optimistic that the form of the album is something that will stay with us in the longer term? Thank you.
Well, the thing about albums and the groups that were involved in that sort of pre-Led Zeppelin and post-Led Zeppelin is that people considered albums to be like a body of work. It was a summing up of where you were at that point in time or that year, because everything else surrounding it would be doing concerts. So that would be a sort of statement of where you are.
Growth progression.
I knew in America that there was this underground radio that weren't playing singles. So the way that I was thinking about it, say for example the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones would always be putting out singles with albums, and the singles were a very important market. But the problem being that if you want to be doing these sort of albums that have where each song leads into another, you know, the whole thing is really crafted in that way. You don't want to be bogged down, say after the second album with Whole Lot of Love on it. You don't want somebody saying to you on the third album, well, where's the Whole Lot of Love?
Done a great concept
you see,
album,
I didn't want to get caught up with a ball and chain of like having to present the single. The thing to do was to present an album which was really, really quality. I hope that answers the question.
It was an interesting coincidence.
Okay, all right. I'm going to answer the first part of the question first, and maybe I might ask you to rephrase the second part. As far as young musicians go, and as I said earlier on, I was self-taught, and it was almost like a pilgrimage to find new information. It wasn't like there were no computers, so you couldn't go online and sort of work out how to play, I don't know, Dark Side of the Moon or any sort of song that you want. By this, you had to learn from records, and it was a very deliberate OCD process to do that. And all of the guitarists from the 60s, they all did the same thing. That's the way that they learned. What I would say to young guitarists, well, of course, now there's just a lexicon of information out there. And I know people who learn from online. You may find one song, and you may find that actually there are about a number of different versions, and actually none of them sound like the one you want to hear off the record. But there are ways of approaching it. I would say to young musicians, just to put the work in, to keep putting the work into something that you love, because the connection with the instrument is something which is so rewarding, and it's something that can be something that you, like me, it could be a hobby that I managed to turn into a career, which then again makes people happy, which is absolutely terrific. Or it could be somebody, who's a university student who's doing all this, intense learning and getting ready for their exams, but it's nice to have an instrument just to be able to play and go into that world. So it's therapeutic, and it's just a wonderful thing to be able to do. And I would encourage musicians in those two areas that I've just described there.
Yeah, it's a film about apprenticeship in many ways. It's about how you learn your craft if you're wanting to do something, ambitious, and how you go about that process. And so it's really it's half a musical and it's half a how-to guide about if you've got a really ambitious dream, how you might go about it. And so you're just having these.
The question about the internet, though, is I met a group at one of these academies, musical academies in Brighton, in England, and they'd won that year's best group of. So there was the singers, musicians, and I said, "What are you doing now?" And they said, "Well, we're going to Vietnam." And I said, "Oh, that's really interesting. How did you get that?" They said, "Well, actually, we've had a hit in Southeast Asia already, because somebody picked our music up off of the streaming, and they put it to an advert, and this is the second time that we're going to Southeast Asia." And I thought, well, wow, it really can work, but you have to be really lucky for that to happen, hey? Yeah. But that wasn't done by a record company, that was done by themselves.
Yeah.
Hi, I have a question for Jimmy Page. It's wonderful. I was one of those young girls who ogled at Robert Plant when I was young. But I love your outfits too, where did they come from? The dandy was wonderful. Who designed them? And secondly, Charlie Watts recently passed, but the Stones aren't giving up like you guys did when John Bonham died. And John Bonham is just wonderful. That it's as if he's alive in this movie. It's one reason that you might wanted to have stopped there. Wanted to have stopped at that period. Although he lived a lot longer, of course. So could you discuss the John Bonham thing versus Charlie Watts and the Stones, and then your outfits, please?
Well, it's a totally different concept of the bands. And I love the Stones, I've got to tell you that. And I love Charlie's playing, and the way that he locked in with Bill Wyman and Keith is just something else, the way that they could groove. But the difference with Led Zeppelin and many of the other bands that were, most of the other bands, was that Led Zeppelin would go on the stage and it would be improvising all the way through the set. So if you can imagine, from 1968, when we start, all the way through to the point where we lose John Bonham, there've been a lot of concerts with a lot of improvising, and riffs that'll just come out on the night and just disappear into the ether. But we had that ESP about us. Now the thing is that when we lost John, it was inconceivable to be able to get somebody and, well, what were you going to do? Teach them the improvising? No. So for us, it was a very easy decision.
And your outfits?
My outfits, I did design those, and it was as my confidence grew and my character grew, then also I was reflecting that in the clothes that I was wearing on stage, but also off stage. So, it was things that were actually made, or things that I managed to find in second-hand shops or whatever.
Bernard, how hard it was?
Well, with Good Times, Bad Times, it's the first track on the first album. So that was the one you expected people to buy. That's what they're going to put on. And the thing is, it's virtually unplayable. you won't find another drummer who can actually play that drum pattern for any length of time. And John Bonham could do it for like half an hour. So they just hit with a riff and the vocals and the guitar solos, and the overall thing.
He's talking about this triples.
Well, that would be it. It's a wonderful sort of opening, a portal to that first album. Where music has been used of Led Zeppelin in films, where for example, they've used something like When the Levee Breaks. I mean, to hear it in the cinema, you know, it's just so awesome. And it always works whenever it's been used. So I've always enjoyed hearing that.
Hi, I'm coming to Israel. Congratulations for your film. I was waiting 2 hours, very patient, waiting, enjoy of course, waiting for the song of my youth in the 70s, and it didn't arrive, Stairway to Heaven. So, Jimmy, how the song was born, and can you explain why it became such a cult and a success?
All right, well, it was a number of sections that I'd written on guitar that I sort of basically assembled. And then I rehearsed it with John Paul Jones and John Bonham at a place called Headley Grange, that's a whole story unto itself. But it was an old country house, and we had a recording studio, a mobile one. So basically, I'm laying this thing out, and we're getting, to get everybody to remember what sections are coming next. And Robert had been sitting down, and he was writing in his book, and then by about the third, fourth run through, he comes up and starts singing 90% of the lyrics. So you know Stairway to Heaven, you understand the lyrics for that, and I'm saying that this was such an inspired time in this place, in this place called Headley Grange, and that's such a good example of it. And the whole idea of that song was to have something which was anthemic, and something that had a slow reveal and just kept building and building, and actually increased in the tempo. That was something that, again, hadn't really been done. Yeah, it'd been done in classical music, but not necessarily in rock and roll.
I'm really sorry, but they have a red carpet, and they need to go, so I apologize. We need to finish this off here.
Thank you.
There he is. Arriving at the red carpet. How old is this guy? Like pushing 80 and he's still so spry? He can probably pick up the guitar and still do a jam. Do a concert. Maybe even a tour. Maybe that's far-fetched, but yeah, he can certainly do a couple of concerts. Look at the hair on that lady, damn. Sharing that red carpet spotlight with this lady.
Big fan of you. Thank you very much.
Still got swag. This guy's my favorite musician. I've graduated him from being my favorite guitarist to being my favorite musician. That's a big deal. with guitar in hand or without. Okay, that's it. Oh man, I was getting into that. All right. So there we have it, folks. That was 30 minutes of a look at this upcoming Becoming Led Zeppelin rockumentary, man. Jumping around here and there, really excellent, Harry. Thanks for all of these little clips, man. It definitely kind of puts in light for me and builds the excitement and the anticipation for this. And as far as I understand, there's no release date yet, or maybe there is by now, I'm not sure, because I'm looking at this particular, like his walk, the red carpet walk. This was September 9th, and you sent me this recommendation September 12th, and up until that point there was no known release date. But Jimmy was asking some of these people in the conference if they've actually seen it yet. So it's got to be close. So if you're a Led Zeppelin fan and you're on this, let me know how close we are, if there actually is a date. That'd be really awesome if you can let me know what date that would be. So yeah, man, hey, just watching this guy walk up that red carpet, stopping to pose and profile and swag, you know, he'd grab his girlfriend's arm, he would stop and wave and all these things. Man, let me tell you, you talk about reaping the fruits of your labor and your sacrifice. He is a really good example of following your bliss, pursuing the road less traveled, taking that walk. It's a gamble, it's a risk. The Led Zeppelin story, the formulation of Led Zeppelin, is one of the best stories I've ever come across so far in my journey and in my walk, especially into rock and roll, but also music in general. And that's why I've graduated this guy to being my favorite musician. And I'm telling you, man, coming from a family that's listened to music, and my family, it's just all about music. Ever since I came out of the damn womb, music was playing in the background, and all of the exposure that I've had to music. And to say that there's one particular person that I consider to be my favorite, yeah, that's a really big deal coming from me. So to see him walk up the red carpet and to see him just take in all of, you know, the success that he has made, it's in proportion to following your bliss. It's in proportion to taking the road less traveled, the sacrifices, taking chances, you know? So he is being rewarded, and it's going to continue to be that way. I'm telling you, 5,000 years from now, we're still going to be talking about Led Zeppelin. We're still going to be talking about Jimmy Page and the formation of it. And, you know, that first initial jam session that they had, all of those intricate things that we really appreciate about Led Zeppelin, we're still going to be talking about it. Man, you know, and so watching him walk up that red carpet, all of that stuff comes into my mind. He is a great representation of what I'm calling the creative renaissance. He represents that very well, the creative bug, the road less traveled, following your bliss. He had situational awareness about the FM formation coming together. He had an atmospheric awareness, and he was able to take a gamble of projection. He knew if he was to start here, he would end up here. What am I trying to describe? It's like the law of attraction. It's like the law of compensating returns, all of those different spiritual laws. Wayne Gretzky once said that he doesn't chase the puck. He puts himself where he knows the puck is going to be, and he visualizes himself putting the puck into the net. Those are the only things, the two big things that he guides his hockey playing by. Jimmy Page was guiding his creative process by a couple of visions like that. That is why the Led Zeppelin formation story is, to me, so far, one of my favorites, just because of all of the different elements that came together. And getting back to Harry and this curse of Led Zeppelin, when he was, that was a big challenge coming from Harry, because I didn't really sit down and pay a lot of attention to what he was sending me at first. I, for some reason, thought it was a 5-minute thing, and 40 minutes later, and I'm like, yo, and you want me to talk about this? And so what it is that presentation like that really breaks down for you all of the different roads that someone has to travel to get to their end goal. And this guy was really driven, really hands-on, really persistent, and he said it himself, very, very passionate, to the point where he was just in it so much. And they also had these great talents, these 4 collective guys, to the point where not only were they talented in a practical sense as being great musicians, but they had an ESP connection, as he said. All of these things combined makes the whole Led Zeppelin iconography that fantastic. And I can talk about it all day long, all year long. You know what I'm saying? That is why I understand why so many fans of Led Zeppelin are in the category of irrational and fanatical. I can understand it, because it is one of the most intriguing stories in music, and the coming together and the accomplishing of your goal, taking the road less traveled, following your bliss, all of that sort of thing. And when you want a story of great inspiration, point people towards the Led Zeppelin story. It's intriguing as hell, all the way from the British invasion, the creation of the Yardbirds, and then going into Beyond. Fantastic story. All right. You know what? While I'm here on this link, Jimmy Page walks the red carpet. Let me just do a quick little read here. I want to read some of the comments from the comment sections. Fans are not so much fans. Page poses for photographs with his partner Scarlett Sabat, as well as film director Bernard McMahon and producer Alison McQuarrie on the red carpet for the movie, which explores the formation of the 70s supergroup. Okay. Lots of comments here. 580 comments. I won't read them all. Let's read about 10. Video should have started with John Paul Jones saying, tour dates. This is tomorrow. Right. That was from the movie. 14 replies to that, so I won't read those 14 replies. There isn't a red carpet big enough for Jimmy. Jimmy Page formed the greatest rock band of all time, the mighty Led Zeppelin. Jimmy looked cuffed to bits. He misses this, and probably wonders why he waited so long. Walking the red carpet must be like putting on an old glove. You slip right into it. Did he wait that long himself, or was he waiting for the right conditions? Especially where his story needs to be told properly, and I think that the waiting period must have incorporated a little bit of trust on his part, trust in who is telling that story, laying the foundation for his story to be told. John Paul Jones said, finally it's being told by our point of view with our own words and that sort of thing. So it's a good period of time. I think something like that, John Paul Jones said. So I think that's probably why he waited so long. A really special emotional moment. My most beloved guitarist, the best ever. So good to see him with Scarlett on the red carpet. Thank you, dear Jimmy, for the amazing songs. Thank you for forming Led Zeppelin. The maestro, so much love for him. Without him, Led Zeppelin could never exist. Thank you for sharing your passion and talent with the world. A huge part of my youth, fills my memory lane moments with joy. These moments are treasures to the public. There he is. These guys are legendary. And one thing I'm noticing here is these comments coming from a lot of these people, a lot of them are young. Well, their pictures are very young anyway. I'm looking at faces that are 50 years and younger, a lot of them. So it really goes to show that there are some generations being crossed here. He still has that Jimmy Page swag. It would be great to hear some new music from Jimmy. A project with John Paul Jones would be awesome. Yeah, that would be interesting. He is so humble, and you can see his glee from the acknowledgement of Zeppelin's utter greatness in rock, a once-in-a-generation rock god. Jimmy looks like he was time traveled in from the 18th century. Goosebumps, actually someone who deserves the red carpet. Yes, true. Not just somebody by default, but someone who's deserving of it. And that carpet was long and wide, wasn't it? I haven't seen too many red carpets that damn big. Fortunate to have grown up in the era when my youth coincided with some of the greatest RR created by Zeppelin. Rock and roll. Their music was always present at parties and circles I frequented. Okay, one more, last one. Love you, Jimmy. No words will ever explain what you and your band, Robert Plant, Bonzo, John Paul Jones, have been for the world. Love you very much. Lots of X's, O's, hearts, palms, rainbows, sunshines, peace signs, a whole bunch of stuff like that. Yeah, man, so there you go. There is the passion of the Led Zeppelin fan. And, you know, like I said, I know I piss a lot of people off by saying this, but you know what? I can basically read something light and fluffy from a really, really nice book of verse or whatever it is, and I would still piss somebody off, you know? So what can you do? You can't please everybody all the time. So this is what I'm about to say. This is stuff coming from the real Led Zeppelin fan. The real Led Zeppelin fan, where the guy TJ said it's not about entertainment only, it's also about edification. You know, that guy TJ, I got to check him out because obviously he understands the appreciation factor for not only the music but the person behind the music, and the difference between a fly-by-night Led Zeppelin fan and a real true Led Zeppelin fan. That's the difference, you know, the person who cares about the edification factor. What made the music so great? What was the haunting effect of the music? Why is it such a soul-grabbing element? They ponder, they wonder why, and they celebrate the coming together of these four magnificent people. So that's the real true Led Zeppelin fan. And how do I know that you're a real true Led Zeppelin fan? You're still here, listening to me run my damn mouth. I am the real shit. You give me that hashtag, let me know who you are. The fly-by-night Led Zeppelin fan, they're long gone. 10 minutes at the most, and they've already taken flight. You are the real Led Zeppelin fan. You are the real shit. You are the person that this documentary is for, so congratulations to you for being the real Led Zeppelin fan. Whether you're young or whether you're an old cat, you are the real Led Zeppelin fan. So, you know I've pissed off a lot of people. I don't care though. So, let us do this. Harry, back to you, man. I swear Harry's trying to land me in some shit. Let's go and check out the Stones versus Zeppelin video. I'm going to break this into two. I don't want that to be a part of this, so I'm going to keep it separate. So yes, you're getting two Led Zeppelin type videos in one day. You know, love it or leave it, but that's how it's going to be. So I'll say bye for now, and hopefully, fingers crossed with me, this will make it onto YouTube. If it doesn't, you might see it a little bit chopped up. And what I would be doing is taking out that intro part that has Good Times, Bad Times in it. Because I remember the original Good Times, Bad Times was blocked on YouTube. So that would more likely be the reason why this part would get blocked. So if you see that this is chopped up, that's the reason why I've had to take out Good Times, Bad Times and try a re-upload. So fingers crossed that this is going to make it up onto YouTube. All right, man, let's go check out Harry's next video, The Stones versus Zeppelin. I'll see you in that video. Peace.